who is also streaming onto the web while he's multitasking.
Yeah. Folks, I think I'm going to focus on specifics, stuff which is going on now, real stuff. I'm going to some extent, assume that you've actually looked at the preparation materials and stuff like that, which were actually pretty good, particularly one of the folks who predicted what we'd be doing on the Internet, that guy, de Tocqueville, who had some of the more insightful remarks about the use of the Internet of his time. I will remind people that from my point of view, the Internet was invented by a nerd named Gutenberg, although it kind of languished, didn't get anywhere until a blogger named Martin Luther invented the first killer app for the net. Again, I don't want to tell you what you know, but just trying to get down to what's real and specific. Something that we know but don't like to talk about is that most humans, when it comes to politics and the kind of stuff we're excited about, most folks don't want to be bothered. And that includes me normally. Normally I'd prefer to be taking a nap, or maybe at this point I'd be at my neighborhood cafe reading the paper or something and having some coffee. The thing is that what's happening in this election year is a big deal. I am one of those folks who feel that what's happening right now is genuinely historic. The nature of this election changes politics as practiced globally forever. So this is a real big deal. Informing my thinking is the notion that, we've been talking about a digital divide for well over 10 years. And I'm not going to make any of the commonplace observations about that, but I've been reading about some of the age-related differences going on in the use of the net, and in particular in the way politics is working this time around. And it seems that there's a much bigger age-related digital divide going on among folks. As far as I can tell, people below 30 are using the net differently than people above 30, and I'm well above 30. And I think this is really happening. The folks who wrote Millennial Makeover are making a lot of observations about this, and I think it's for real. And I look to Dana Boyd for more observations on this kind of thing, because she really knows what's happening. I can touch on it, but I don't have the same sense of what's happening among the young that she does. I only have one bit of advice, one request from the young. Charlie, ask me what
request would that be?
I'd like them to stay off my lawn. And that's the third time I've used that joke at this conference. I'm very proud. As a guy, it's imperative to use the same jokes over and over again. But the idea is that things are happening right now, things are changing, things which I think are important. Briefly, one of the big concerns regarding media and politics these days is, how do you find trustworthy news in this age where we're seeing lots of disinformation, lots of whispering campaigns, things of that nature? Two of the most notable experiments in those areas, there's newstrust.net, which attempts to use citizens and professionals to try to find and rate the most trustworthy versions of news stories. There's factcheck.org, which is doing a lot of fact-checking in terms of what the presidential candidates are saying, sometimes saying things that I'm pretty uncomfortable with, but they know what they're doing. One of the most notable groups that we're seeing right now in the area of countering disinformation, the Center for Media and Democracy out in Wisconsin. What they do is they run SourceWatch, PRWatch. They do Congresspedia for Sunlight Foundation, which is perhaps Wikipedia for Congress. Recently, a congressman started using Twitter to expose some issues, and unfortunately, I looked up his record on Congresspedia, and the guy has some really unsavory connections. Stuff like that's happening. Tangentially, I'll mention that Center for Media and Democracy is also doing a great job exposing front groups, well, not only in politics, but also in the consumer space. People, younger people, or people as old as I am, are also doing things like they're trying to figure out, as someone who really doesn't know the news industry, I see newspapers doing really good investigative work, exposing big stuff, particularly, regarding the role of lobbyists in Washington, that kind of thing. But you see the story come and go in the space of a day or so. There are people who are doing a real good job in that kind of thing right now. There's a new publicly financed investigative reporting group called ProPublica out of New York. It's propublica.org. They're doing ongoing investigative reporting, but if you look on the site, you'll also see something called Scandal Watch, and you'll see they have a list of the top 5 ongoing scandals that the general press is not covering on an ongoing basis. The best example of this is the ongoing coverage of the U.S. attorneys who were fired due to for political reasons. They keep covering this kind of stuff. Something I remember from high school. We were told back then that the press is one of our best checks and balances when government goes wrong, and yet in some respects the mainstream press has not been doing a good job of this recently. Well, part of that means that we need better tools for both professional and citizen journalists to find out what's going on in Washington. The operations of government needs to be more transparent, and there you got the Sunlight Foundation, which funds a lot of notable efforts going on right now in this regard, like maplight.org. On a more mundane example, well, in terms of citizens using media to engage directly with government, there are 311 systems, like we have in San Francisco and New York. Remember, frankly, most people aren't concerned with big issues, but sometimes our biggest concern through the course of a day is to get a pothole filled, or to find out how we get a license. Maybe not a driver's license, but a local business license, that kind of thing. Well, you go to 311 in San Francisco or New York via phone, or sometime soon via the net, and you can call up and you can find out what's going on with government. You can get a pothole filled. These are not the big issues that those of us here are concerned with, but when you're talking about real life, that's a big deal right there. The big issue, which I think we need to talk about more right now, is what some people are calling participatory democracy, sometimes network democracy, which I think has the potential of fulfilling the vision that the founders of this country had in terms of actual real-time democracy. Right now we have a representative democracy where we elect people who will represent us, and yet we now see emerging those technologies which allow people, anyone, to be involved with actual governance. Remember, most people don't want to be bothered. Only a small percentage of people want to be involved, but of course that small percentage in this country, 1% of 300 million, is still a lot of people, and people are eager for this to start happening. How is this really going to start? How is this really going to start happening? People are starting to talk about this. I'm talking about the permanent town hall, which uses technologies to really get people involved in things. And frankly, there's a group breaking out from the Obama campaign looking at the horizon like John Rendon was talking about. How are we going to make this really happen? I don't know, but things are starting to happen right now, and it is all getting real. And if you're wondering what I'm doing with this thing, let's just say it is live video, and I can see that wide-angle lens at short distance shows that I really do have incipient jowls. But I've spoken for too long. I'm going to stop now.